Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry about that. I had my mic muted there for a moment. Thank you for joining me. I had a bit of a technical issue there, so I apologize for the slight delay there, but we're gonna get right going here. Let me go ahead and share my notes. So yeah, today we are going to talk about your brand new Top Producer X. I'm your host, Dan Salcedo. Sorry for the update on the cover sheet here. It should say Dan Salcedo. I'm the training specialist. And joining me today on the chat is Marvin LaRosa. He's going to help us answer some questions on chat, and he's going to also make sure that we are on track. And he's going to be sharing some links too on the chat too while I'm sharing the information here on the screen. So let me just get myself situated here, make sure I can see the chat in case you guys have questions and I can answer them as well. All right, so we're gonna go through your setup of your Top Producer X, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post it in the chat. We love answering questions right on the live session. So please go ahead and ask questions while we go through your setup. If you need one-on-one help, let's say the setup was going a little too fast on this live webinar, you can also ask for help through a chat support. So you just have to go to the bottom right corner of your Top Producer X or go to topproducer.com/campus, and one of us here will be happy to help you. We're open Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you just need a quick question and you don't need an immediate response, you can also email us at support@topproducer.com. And usually we get back to you within 1 to 2 business days here. So what are we going to go over? I'm going to show you guys how to log in and some basics of managing your contacts. And I'm also going to show you some key setup points and where to learn more about them. And then we have something called follow-up coach to make sure that even though despite your best efforts, some contact just falls through the cracks and you don't realize that you haven't talked to them in ages. We have something called the follow-up coach to make sure we bubble up those contacts in case you did miss them from your follow-up game plan. So getting right to it, the first thing we're going to do is log in. Okay, so if you haven't gotten your email yet, it should be in your spam folder or in your inbox in case you don't see it in your inbox right away. The subject line will say activate your new Top Producer account. And it's gonna look like this on your screen here, on the Zoom screen. It's gonna have your username and your password. So make sure you look for that email. If you don't have it, just let us know and we'll try to help you out with that. But let me go ahead and show you guys the login process. So once you have that email, basically you're going to go to our login page, which is crm.topproducer.com. And you're going to put in that username and password that I'm pointing out on the screen here. You can also click get started from the email that you got. So it should take you to the login screen that you see here. Put in your username, put in your password. And if you ever forget your password, there's a link there that says forgot password. So should be pretty easy to change your password if you don't like the one that we gave you. But for now, we're going to go ahead and sign in. The first thing you'll see once you sign is the subscriber agreement. So you'll only see this once, just like any piece of software that you've ever bought. You'll always see some sort of subscriber agreement or end user license agreement or something like that. Basically, just all the legalese that you get every time you buy something. The most important part here is that you get a 1-year contract. So if you don't like it within those first 30 days, no problem, no sweat. You can go ahead and change your mind within those first 30 days. But after the first 30 days, the most important part here is that you're committed for that, at least that initial 1-year term. After the 1-year term, it goes on a month-to-month basis. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sign into my account here so you guys can see how I log in. So it's pretty easy. Just put in your username and password and just hit sign in. The first time you sign in, you might see something slightly different from me. It might ask you to log in. Let me just backtrack here for a second here. Yeah, so once you accepted the agreement, you hit next. The first thing it's going to ask you is it's going to ask you for your contact information. So fill it out as much as you can because we use some of this information about you to use what we call merge codes, so that when you're creating these reusable emails and reusable text messages, we call them templates. Instead of having to manually type in your contact information every time you want to show it in your template, we use something called merge code so that it'll automatically put it in. So the more you put into the system, the better it is in the long run. So yeah, you're going to want to put in your picture, your logo, all your phone numbers, all your email addresses, your website, your social media links, and so on. Make sure you do put in your time zone, of course, because if you have your calendar set up, you don't want to be late for your appointment because you put in the wrong time zone. Once you're done, this is what you should see. It should take you to the contact screen. You're almost ready to go to start using it. The first thing it wants you to do is to either add a contact or import your contacts from like a spreadsheet or your Mac address book. If you use a Mac or like an iPhone, your contacts might be on your phone. It'll be stored in your iCloud account. You can export it into a VCF file and then import it into Talk Producer. If you're on the Windows machine, it'll be exported into a CSV file, like a spreadsheet, and then imported into Talk Producer. So Marvin's gonna share you a link on how to import your contacts from a file on your computer. And then later on, when we get to the setup, I'm going to show you guys how to sync your contacts. That might be a lot better, especially if you constantly use your phone for your contacts, whether you're using an Android, an iPhone, or a Samsung, or whatever it may be. You can actually sync it with the same account that your phone is syncing to, so that it's like a two-way sync, an end-to-end sync. So just for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to add a contact. So you either click on that button that you saw there, or if you're already in your Top Producer X, there should be a button on the top right corner when you're in your contacts. Just click on Add Contact on the top right corner. Now it's up to you. If you're a new user, you either want to put in an actual client in there, so like your buyer or your seller, put them in there just so it might be easier for you to kind of know what's important to you when you're adding a contact, because you're actually putting a client in there. Or if you want, this is what I usually do as a technical person, I add myself in there just in case I accidentally play around with like sending an email or sending a text, and maybe what my test email, I don't want it to go to my actual client, right? So it's up to you how you want to do it, whether you put in a real client's name or yourself, just for that adding a contact process. So I'm just gonna put in, I'll just put in my dog's name. His name is Sumo. He's a pug. There we go, Sumo the pug. And I'll put in his email, Sumo the pug at, let's go in. So we got his email in there. And the next thing I want to talk about when you're adding a contact is these two fields here called contact status and contact type. So these are very important when you're starting to manage your contacts into a CRM like Top Producer. You want to make sure that, one, you know who you should talk to next versus who you should talk to later. Two, you should know what kind of marketing content should you send them depending on what kind of group are they in. So that's where contact status and contact type comes into play. Contact status is basically a predetermined set of journey in the sales pipeline for each buyer or seller. Basically starting from new, where you've never talked to them before, to ultimately or hopefully everybody goes to close, right? That means you've completed a transaction with them and you've made commission. So that's what the contact status is for. You'd probably want to prioritize your follow-up on your active, your engaged, your new clients, right? Versus your colder leads that are in like future or inactive and non-client. So that's what the contact status is helping you kind of put people into the right priority list in terms of, are they ready to go into the market or not? So I'm just going to go through each status really quickly here with you guys, just so you guys have a better sense of when to use each one. So for the new, these are contacts that you've never talked to, like you've never even sent them a text, you've never even left them a voicemail. They're totally brand new to you, total strangers to you, right? So you want to set them into new. And the goal of your CRM, when you have a new contact, is to contact them right away. There's stats out there that after 5 minutes, especially coming in from an online lead, the more you wait to send them a message or call them, the less likely they're going to answer the call or respond to your message. So that's why we want to make sure we categorize those contacts into new, so that right away, you know, these are your most priority, most important, or it's not important, but most urgent contacts that you need to talk to. Once you send that initial message, or you give them a quick call, whether they answer it or not, then they're not new anymore, right? You're starting to qualify them. You're trying to figure out whether they're ready or not. And that's when the next stage comes into play, the engaged status. So engaging is where you're trying to qualify them. You don't know what they want yet. Excuse me. You don't know what they want yet, and you don't know if they're ready or not yet. So you're trying to engage with them. You're trying to qualify them. Now, once you finally get to talk to them, they're either going to go in two different directions. The first direction is the looky-loos, right? The colder leads, or I'm not ready yet, right? So those ones you want to put into the future status, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to ignore them, but you're going to have a different type of follow-up with them where it's less hands-on, less aggressive, right? Because they're more of a future lead. But then there's your hot leads, right? You want to put into active. These are where your ready to go clients. These are where your active clients go, your actual transactions go. So your current listing, your current closing, they go in that seller, that buyer would be in the status of active. And then finally, they go to close. That means you were successful in selling their house, or you were successful finding that first-time home buyer's dream home or something like that. Then they go into close, right? It's really important for you to make sure you put those contacts or clients into close, because they become a past client and they become a really good source of new leads in the future, right? These are actually the best kind of leads, because you've already proven to them that you can be successful in helping them buy or sell their property. And then these two statuses here, inactive, are the contacts that are even colder than cold leads or future leads. It just means that you don't want to market to them at all, right? So future, you might want to send out like a newsletter every year, or like a check-in call every year or something like that, right? So you're still sort of marketing to them. But if you really don't want to market to them at all, but you don't want to delete them, because who knows, they might become a lead later, then you want to set them to inactive. And then finally, the non-client status. These are for your vendors. So they're not clients at all. that there are people that you need to make sure you have their phone number or their email or whatever in case you need them. So like photographers, inspectors, mortgage brokers, lawyers, stuff like that, people that you associate with to help you with your business, and you want to keep track of them in your database. You want to save them as a non-client. So hopefully those descriptions make sense in about contact status, and and Marvin has posted in the chat on a link on how to use them even further. I do see some questions on the chat. If you guys can just hang on just a moment, I'm just gonna explain this contact type field here, and then I'll get to your questions right away. So contact status is all about determining whether someone is ready to go into the market or not. Contact type in this case is different. Contact type is to put them into categories, put them into groups. So you're building your different target audiences, right? So you're not going to send the same email to your buyer versus your seller, right? You're not going to send the same type, you're not going to use the same type of language for people in, let's say, in a different demographic, right? Maybe you run an event for, churchgoers or senior community or something like that, right? And your language is a little bit different versus when you're trying to attract millennials or Gen Z buyers, right? So this is where contact types come into play, and you can use the ones that we've added in there. There's buyers, there's seller in there, there's sphere of influence, all sorts of stuff we've already added in there. But if you don't see anything, if you type it in and it doesn't show up, so buyer shows up for me, but let's say I want to make it even more specific, buyer Gen Z, right? If it's not in the list already, you can add it in there. So you just type it in and hit add, and then continue on. So you can add as many contact types to your clients as much as you want. So these are the two most important fields when you're managing your contacts, is making sure that you put them in the right status and you put them into the right contact type, and make sure you keep it up to date, right? Because some people, obviously they change grouping, right? Maybe they're not a buyer anymore and they become a seller, right? Because they're ready to upgrade, right? Or maybe they're both, right? So let me take a look at the chat here. Thanks, Marvin, for answering all these questions. Yeah, so Kirsten, looks like you're from our top producer 8i. Thank you very much, by the way, Kirsten, for being a loyal top producer customer. So we do have some customers with us here that are existing. They've been with us for years. They've seen a lot of success. Hopefully that's because they've been using top producer for all this time, right? So if you're a new user, you can see that we've got some loyal customers out there. We do have a dedicated webinar for anyone here that's an 8i user on how to set up from your 8i to top producer X. But you're definitely welcome to stay, because we're gonna pretty much go through almost the same stuff. It's just the way that I cater this webinar is more towards our new customers. So thank you guys for that understanding. Kevin, will if I use 8i, will this new top producer be taking over in place of the older version? Will I still be able to use the older version if I prefer? Yeah, Kevin, you can still use your 8i. We love our 8i users. We love our 8i product. So top producer 8i, top producer X, use whichever one you want. Use both if you want, right? Top producer 8i is more towards traditional marketing methods. And if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So keep doing that. Top producer X is more for the 2023 and beyond type of marketing. So like text messaging, emailing, it's more catered towards digital marketing and so on. And there's some really cool automated lead response plans that we have in there. So they're both good in their own way. But if you want to continue using 8i, Kevin, go ahead. That would be awesome. Kirsten made a comment about the colors being a little bit boring in top producer X. Yeah, I can understand that if you're coming from top producer 8i, definitely. But let me show you something, okay? If you're in top producer X and it's the first time you see it, if you're coming from AI, this is like all blue, it's got different colors, all that stuff, right? With Top Producer X, it does have some color. What happens is we've got some contact types. So the categories, you can actually, it'll pop out a little bit more because, if you deal with more buyers, those will pop up versus all your other contacts that you have in your list, right? Or sports fans. I have here sports fans here, right? You can see the color of that pops out a little bit more when I'm trying to, work on multiple contacts during my day, right? And then we have something called the follow-up reminder. So what you can do actually is, let's say you are focused on a prospect list and your prospect list happen to be all sports fans, right? And you want to make sure you're always engaging with them every 5 days, right? There's always a game every couple of days or so, right? And these are your most active clients. They're more, they're usually the more engaged clients that you have, and they're a really good source of referrals for you, for example, right? So we have something called the follow-up reminder, and watch what happens here. That's when the colors start to pop up, right? So when we have a follow-up reminder here, you notice they're not white and gray anymore. Anytime you set up a follow-up reminder, if it's coming up towards that threshold that you set yourself, let's say I want to make sure I call them every 5 days, they're going to get colored on my screen here saying, okay, look, Roger's at 5 days, you need to contact him. And then anything over that 5 days is overdue, right? And they become colored in red, right? So that's where the colors start to come in play. In the beginning, yeah, it may seem like a little bit boring, but once you get into it, Kirsten, hopefully you'll see the same thing as me. The colors start popping up, and then that's when the power of the new version comes into play for you. Yeah, Kevin, this webinar is recorded, just like all our webinars. It'll be on our YouTube channel. So if you have, I'll show a link later in the show. It's basically youtube.com/topproducersoftware. So we usually post the recordings of these webinars within a day. So either today or the next business day, usually. Mark, I have 2,000 in database using since 1996. Can you show me merging for email? Yes, Mark, I will show you how to use the merge codes in Top Producer AI. If you could just hang on for me at the end of the show. We do have quite a lot of content here that we got to go through, and we have about 30 people here. So I appreciate a little bit of patience there. I'll show you at the end. How do we create newsletter blast templates? I've only seen follow-up templates. Yep. We'll show you how to do templates in a moment here. So appreciate you guys asking those questions. Now I know what we can go through at the end here once I get through the content. So let's try to make sure we stay on task here. So the next thing I want to show you after showing you guys how to do or how to add a contact and how to manage your sales pipeline using contact status and contact type. Now we're going to go through your settings page. So I'm going to go and show you a couple of really important settings. And then, after that, I'll go through the rest of the settings page. And, if it's going too fast, that's okay, because like I said, this webinar is recorded, so you can come back to it if you want to do the other settings later and you don't want to do them right now. So let me go ahead and go to my settings. And to go to your settings, it's just on the bottom left corner. There should be a settings button there. If you don't see it right away, I've seen this happen before. And usually it's because you're zoomed in maybe a little bit too much, and you can see the settings button is kind of hidden on the bottom, right? So that's what sometimes happens. I will get that call sometimes into support, and we usually tell them, oh, you just need to zoom out. You just hit the three dots on the top right corner and zoom out just a tiny bit until you start seeing that settings button. And if you're still having trouble with that, there's another way you can go to your settings. Just click on your picture on the top right corner, and there should be a settings option there. And if you're still having trouble with that, the chat button, like I said in the beginning of the show, it's always going to be in the bottom right corner. We're ready to help you. As soon as you hit that button, you give us your information. We're going to start helping you right away. So we're open Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific or 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, moving right along. Now that we're in the settings page, of course, if you made a mistake with your type, you made a typo in your name or your phone number, your address, you can correct that in your My Information page. Maybe you have a new picture or you want to use a different logo. That's where you can go and update all that information. But the next thing I want to show you to set up right away is your MLS credentials. So it should be the fourth one from the bottom. Look for something called MLS credentials. And what this allows you to do is it connects your top producer to your MLS board, because we have a couple of really cool features that use this connection with your MLS. The first one being something called Property Insights. And this is something that is not in our older version. This new feature called Property Insights allows you to better keep track of all the properties that your buyers are interested in. So you get that buyer, for example, that texts you and says, hey, can you add this to my list of properties I want to see in a couple of weeks? And then they'll call you saying, hey, I was just driving by, I'm in my car, I got you on Bluetooth, and I just drove by another lawn sign of another property I want to check out in a couple of weeks. And then 2 days later, they'll email you and send you a big list of a spreadsheet saying, hey, can you add these 3 other properties into that list of properties I want to take a look at in the next week and a half, right? So you're getting all these different properties that buyer is interested in different methods, from a phone call, from a text, from an email. In Top Producer X, it'll allow you to centralize that into one list called Property Insights. And because it's connected to the MLS board, anytime you add something in that list, it'll automatically put in the address, it'll put in the price, it'll put in the bedrooms, the bathrooms, it'll put in the picture, and it'll update it automatically if anything changes for that property, like if the price changes or if it went from active to sold, and so on, right? So that's one feature that the MLS credentials is used for. The other one is something called Market Snapshot. If your salesperson hasn't talked to you about Market Snapshot yet, that's a shame, because Market Snapshot, although it is a paid service, a paid add-on, it really takes it up a notch when you're trying to nurture your leads. You're giving them something of value instead of just sending them the usual email blast of, Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, right? Instead of just doing those regular blast emails, you can actually create a individualized custom market trend report. So not only is it going to give them a list of properties that they may be interested in or want to learn more about to compare to their own property if they're trying to sell, but it'll give them some statistical trends. So it'll give them like the average asking price, average days on market. So it becomes the fact that you're their source of knowledge, source of information or expertise, where where you control the branding of that newsletter, right? There are some free newsletters out there. You maybe even get it from your MLS, but with the Market Snapshot, you kind of have the branding and you control the button that says contact me. It'll go directly to you instead of another realtor, right? So if you want more information about Market Snapshot, just post in the chat. We'll have someone give you a free demo. So those are the 2 features that the MLS credentials is for. All you have to do to set it up is just click on add MLS credentials, look for your MLS board. So I'm here in the Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada area. So our board is Vancouver Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. So you don't have to type in the exact name of your MLS board. Just try if it's the search is smart enough to try to search for something similar. So I just typed in Vancouver, but it's actually called Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. So there's others MLS out there like Bright MLS. What else? We have San Diego. So we have hundreds of connections with all the different MLS board in the US and Canada. So you just need to type it in, and whatever you type it in, it's either gonna ask you for just an ID. Sometimes it'll ask you for your full username and password to your MLS. If it doesn't work right away, try to put it all in capitals. If that doesn't work right away, try to put it all in lowercase. And if it still doesn't work right away, after multiple attempts, not to worry. We don't want you to get frustrated. All you have to do is just close that quickly, take a quick detour to our chat button here, and we will check how to put in that username and password for your specific MLS, because some MLS boards are more finicky or more particular with how they want you to put in the MLS. And sometimes they even ask you to put in some paperwork, right? So definitely just hit the chat button there if it's still not validating for you, and we can make sure you get unstuck there. So that's one important settings I want to make sure you guys get done today. The next important settings I want to make sure you get done today is email integration. So if you want to send out emails from Top Producer, you got to set this up. And I usually recommend setting up the same email account that you set up on your phone that you take with you all everywhere, because what the email integration does for you is not only will it send out the emails from Top Producer, but you'll also see all your sent and received emails for each of your contacts in your database. So even if you send out an email from your phone, it's going to show up in your Top Producer in their email history. And vice versa. If you send out an email from your Top Producer, you'll also see it on your phone in your sent items folder. So you're it's like an email sync, basically. On top of being able to send and receive emails, it'll also let you track if they've opened it or not. So if you spend a lot of time creating the perfect marketing email template, or maybe you even spend a little bit more money and hired a photographer to take the perfect headshot, right? And you want to put in your signature, it would be nice to get some return on that investment, right? Being able to see if someone's actually opening those emails or not. And that's why you would want to set up the email integration and send it from Top Producer, so that you can get that open tracking whenever you send out an email. So all you have to do is put in your email address and click on authorize email. I already had my email set up in there, so this is what it should look like when it's done the setup. But I'm gonna go ahead and toss it out and then start over again, so you guys can see what it looks like here. So you just plug in your email and click on authorize email. Depending on your email account that you put in, it's going to ask you to log in and give it permission. So if you're putting in an iCloud account, Apple's going to ask you to give it permission. If you're putting in a Google account, Google's going to ask you for you to give it permission, and so on. So if you have a Microsoft account or Outlook, it'll also ask you for permission. So it might not ask me for permission because I did just set it up earlier. But what usually happens is it's going to ask you, hey, Top Producer's trying to access your contacts, or trying to access your email, trying to access your calendar, your appointments. Do you want to allow Top Producer access to all this stuff? You do have to check all the boxes. If there's no boxes, that's okay. But if you see any check boxes, check all of them and then hit continue. If you don't give it permission, then it's not going to work, obviously. So just pay attention to that when it's asking you to give permission. Check all the boxes if there's any. All right, so yeah, because I had it set up earlier, it's not asking me for permission because it still had the permissions given already to Top Producer. But once you've put it in and you hit continue, it'll just take you back to the email integration page. The status should say initializing. And then once it's finished doing the initial sync, it'll show the status of running. So that means it's complete. if you see anything other than running, like initializing, or maybe even the scary word that says needs reauthorization, just disregard it for the next few hours or a couple of days, depending on how much data it has to do that has to perform for that initial sync. It could take a little bit longer than usual. But for me, since I didn't have any data in this test account, it says running right away. For you guys, it most likely will take at least a couple of hours or a few minutes, depending on how much email has to sync with Top Producer, right? If you have years and years worth of email, it might take longer than a few seconds. If it's still not working after a couple of days, again, just hit the chat button and we can take a look into that with you. Mark, if you are connecting an iCloud, Yahoo, AOL account, or have two-factor enabled, you will need to create an app password and use that. This is the problem I had before. I use Yahoo IDs. Okay. Yeah, so certain email providers a little bit more strict than others when you're trying to give it access to a third-party program or a third-party company like Top Producer. So in your email provider account, like Yahoo, for example, there should be a way to create what we call an app password. So it's just a special one-time use password that you use just for that third-party company like Top Producer. So hopefully there's some support articles from your email provider on how to get that app password, Mark, because you're probably going to want to follow those instructions. Yeah, it's a one-time password, Mark. So it's just using for your Top Producer. It's different from your regular Yahoo or iCloud password. All right, so those are the two most important settings, MLS credentials and email integration. Now I'm going to go through the next most important ones, and that's the sync ones, in my opinion. So either calendar sync or contact sync, right? You guys use your phone all the time. Probably going to be more than Top Producer. Even if you use Top Producer every day, you're going to be on your phone more likely than not, right? And we want to make sure that you're we want to make sure you adapt to our program as seamless as possible without interrupting you or causing too much interruption to your work. And that's why we have the calendar sync and the contact sync. It basically allows you to use Top Producer without using Top Producer. So what the calendar sync will do is whenever you add an appointment on your phone, it's going to send it to your Top Producer. You need to cancel an appointment, it'll send it to your Top Producer. You need to reschedule it, it'll send it to your Top Producer, and vice versa. So if you have an assistant and you're just not good with technology and you just want to go, hey, assistant, can you reschedule my appointment for 12 o'clock? I haven't had lunch yet. Can you just call them and see if they're okay with rescheduling it to 1 o'clock, right? So they can log into Top Producer, update that appointment, it'll sync to your phone. So when you look at your phone, halfway through your lunch, you can see, okay, yeah, my next appointment's at 1 o'clock. So it's a two-way sync, and it's the same process as the email integration setup that I just showed you guys. All you have to do is put in your email address that you have set up for your calendar on your phone. So let me just refresh this page here. Same thing with the contact sync. I'm going to just delete this here and start over from scratch. There we go. Let me go ahead and sign out. All right, perfect. So just gonna do it just like the email integration. Put in my email address. Account. There we go. It's gonna ask me to give it permission. Once it's done giving, once you've given it permission, it's gonna ask you, hey, which calendar do you want to sync with Top Producer? I only had one calendar in this account, in my Google account, so it's not giving me a drop down. But if you're one of those that have have an iCloud account or a Google account or an Outlook account or a Yahoo account, and you have multiple calendars in that same account. You might have a personal calendar, a work calendar. Maybe you have calendars from your coworkers. You have shared calendars. So you have multiple calendars, right? The calendar sync will only allow you to sync with one of them. So you have to click on the drop down to select which one you want to sync with. In my case, I don't have a drop down because I only have one calendar. So all I have to do is hit start sync. And that's it. So it might, like I said earlier, it might take a few seconds, might take a few minutes, might take a few hours, and worst case scenario, it might take a couple of days just for that initial sync to finish. And I'm going to do with the contact, same thing with the contact sync. I'm going to plug that in here. So with the contact sync, it's also a two-way sync. So anytime you add a contact on your phone, maybe you saw a typo on their name and you change it, it'll sync that with your top producer. The only thing that it won't sync is deletions, and that's on purpose because we've seen too often where people delete their contacts by accident, and despite our best effort to try to help them get it back, sometimes that doesn't happen, right? So just as a fail safe, just to keep everything safe, we don't sync deleting contacts. So anytime you delete a contact, you have to do it in both. But that's a good compromise instead of having to worry if you delete a contact, is it gone forever, right? You can't get it back, right? Basically, once it's deleted, then that's a potential loss of business there, right? So we really are very careful when it comes to deleting contacts, and when it comes to sync, we won't. That's not part of the syncing process. But anytime you add a contact on your phone, it'll send it to your top producer, and vice versa. Anytime you add a top producer contact on your top producer, it'll sync it to your phone, so you won't miss that important phone call, and you'll recognize it right away, right, when they try to call you. Make sure you toggle this on where it says automatically add new contacts to sync. If you turn it off, what that means is anytime you add a contact in your top producer, it won't sync, so it won't send it to your phone. There is use cases for that. Some people don't want to sync a contact from their top producer to their phone, maybe because let's say they imported a CSV file of 100 people or maybe 1,000 people in their top producer, and they don't want it necessarily on their phone, right? They don't know these 1,000 people, and they don't want to flood their contact list on their phone, and they just want to strictly manage them in their CRM in their top producer. That's one scenario where I could see you turning this off because you don't want it to your phone. But in reality, nobody has time to manage two databases, right? You just want to make sure if your contacts is on your phone, you want it on your top producer and vice versa. So my recommendation here for most people is to turning it on. Now, the next tab is importing contacts. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do it. You just click on choose file to import. Find the file on your computer. So I've got a fake list here. And then, if there's a certain contact status or type, you can plug that in. The default is future if you don't know which one to pick. You can always change each one afterwards. But let's say you're importing a bunch of lists from the public record, right? And you're doing some prospecting, right? So you've never talked to these people before. You probably want to change their status to new because you want to talk to them right away or do something with them right away, and then put in whatever group that you want to put it in there. So public record leads, right? So put it in there like that, hit add, and you can add in as many as you want for this contact type or this import that you're doing. And then the most important part of this import is playing a matching game. So in your spreadsheet, you've got all these different columns, and under each column is the data for that given column. So that first column, for example, in my spreadsheet is called given name, and it gives you a sample So I got Samuel, John, Thomas, Tracy. These are samples from my spreadsheet under the column called given name. And what I want to do is match it with what top producer uses. So top producer uses first name instead of given name. So it might not be the exact same spelling. So all you're doing is matching it from your spreadsheet to top producer, the matching column that you want to import it into. So given name matches with first name, surname matches with last name, and so on. Now, if you have a field or a column in your spreadsheet and it doesn't have a matching column in top producer to import it into directly, and you want to make sure that it's in there. So there is a phone field here. So you have to pick either home phone or mobile phone. But let's just pretend this column doesn't say telephone number. It actually says favorite restaurants, right? Maybe you're importing it from an old CRM that you were tracking, which are their favorite restaurants for whatever reason, right? And you want to make sure you track that in top producer. We don't have a column called favorite restaurants in top producer, but what you can do if you really want it in there is select the option that says add to contact notes. It'll at least put it into each individual contact's notes. Now let's say the same example, favorite restaurants, and you don't want it in top producer. You have no use for it, right? And you want to make sure it does not get imported. So what you can do is select not mapped. So anything that says not mapped, any column from your spreadsheet that says not mapped, it's not going to import it into top producer. So this is useful if you're importing it from a different CRM. Some CRMs give you extra columns, right? Like an ID or something like that. And you don't need it in your new CRM, your new top producer. So you can just match it to not mapped and it'll ignore that column and go to the next one. And when you're done, you just hit import contacts and that's pretty much it. I hit cancel because I've already done it earlier. So this is what it's going to look like after you hit import. It should say completed. It depends on how much contacts you're putting in. And you can hit this check status button from time to time. If you have like, let's say 1,000 contacts you're importing and it didn't say complete right away, just hit that check status, in the next couple of minutes or so. Depending on how much you have, it could take a couple of minutes, take a couple hours, whatever it is in your data. So hopefully that quick walkthrough of importing contacts is easy enough. If it was a little too complicated or it's not working right for you, just hit the chat button and you can ask them, what the issue is with your import and they'll get you unstuck. All right, skipping over to the next tab after email integration is the email signature. So once you set up your email integration, you want to make sure you got your signature in there. So this is just like any email program you've ever used. You want to use an email signature that always shows at the bottom. All you have to do is click on that pencil icon and then put in whatever you want to use for your signature. Now, this is the first time you guys are going to see this button on the bottom right corner called template. So this is where those merge codes come into play. So we call it template in top producer and top producer X. And what it means is when you click on it, you can automatically put in a mail merge code. So if you don't want to have to keep typing in your website, for example, right? You got like a website called, www.vancouverhomes.com, right? You don't want to have to keep typing it in and, potentially make a mistake in your spelling. So once you have it set already in your top producer and you will always want to reuse that same merge code, you just select that template button and then click on that merge code and it'll plug it in there. So I can do the same thing here. So I'm going to put in my name in here automatically. I click on that template button and then I put my first name. It put in my first name right away. Click on the button and put in my last name. It put in my last name right away. I had my last name as just S in there. So that's why it just says S. So that's how you use that template button. The other name that it goes by is called merge codes. And when you're done putting in your signature, you can even put in pictures if you want or links if you want. But once you're done with your signature, just hit save at the bottom. Mark, question, can your email signature and your daily email be repeated here in X? I'm not sure what you're referring to when you say daily email. So if you just clarify that, Mark, I'll come back to you. Can your email signature and your daily email be repeated here? And like, okay, so like if you use like Outlook, your daily email program that you use, can you repeat it in Top Producer X? It depends. Honestly, it depends. If you have a really elaborate signature on your Outlook, if you just copy paste it, it might not look the same way. So you might have to recreate it in Top Producer X, unfortunately. But I've seen signatures where it's just like name, phone number, picture, logo, or website, just like what I have here, and they copy paste it into Top Producer and it worked fine. So it just depends. It's kind of like 50-50, honestly. So if it doesn't look the same as what you're expecting, just use these buttons here at the bottom. These are the editor buttons to try to make it look as close as possible once you had it in there. Yeah, so once you set it up once here and you save it as a signature, all your templates in your Top Producer are going to use a signature. So you only have to you only have to spend time on it that one time when you're setting it up in the signature settings, and then it'll be reused for all your emails. So hopefully that helps, Mark. All right, next settings tab is the lead providers. So this is useful for those of you that get leads online. So whether that's free leads from your website or your brokerage or your franchise that you're with, maybe they give you free leads. Or if it's a paid lead provider, so you spend a little bit of money getting leads from Zillow or Realtor.com or another lead provider. This is where you can set it up so you don't have to manually add them in every time you get a new lead online. The way it works is, before you had Top Producer, whenever you got a new lead, you usually get an email notification, right? Saying, hey, John Smith was on Realtor.com looking at this property, 123 Main Street, and they want more information about it. Contact them right away, right? So usually you get that email. What we can do is actually redirect that email notification that you get into Top Producer. So it adds them in there manually, or sorry, not manually, automatically. So you don't have to manually type them in. You can still get the notification from your lead provider. They usually allow you to put in like 2 email addresses anytime you set up your lead notification. But the important part here is so you don't have to do any manual entry. All you have to do is copy this email address that you see in this lead provider settings page, copy that, log into your lead provider website. So that could be Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, whatever it is. And in your lead provider website settings, look for somewhere in your settings where you can edit the notification email addresses and copy paste this email in there. So once you put it in there, anytime we receive an email from that provider that has all your contact and all the lead information, we'll automatically read that email notification and create a contact inside your Top Producer for them. Now, the benefit of sending your online leads into Top Producer is something called the automated lead response plan. And this is kind of like the souped up version of a like that initial lead response. Because I know that Zillow and Realtor.com, for example, will automatically reply to a new lead saying, hey, thanks for your inquiry. We'll get back to you right away. But with Top Producer, not only can you get that initial response automated, but you can set it so that it sends multiple text messages and email messages on your own schedule over multiple days. And the goal of the automated lead response is to get them to respond, because that's the biggest challenge with online leads, is getting them to respond, right? So you can have it set to email them right away and text them right away. But let's say a day later, you want to send them another text message and send them another email. And then maybe 4 days later, you want to do the same thing. And then 2 weeks later, you want to do the same thing, right? So instead of having you to remember to try to, nurture them, you let top producer do it for you. And as soon as they respond to any of those messages, it will stop. So it won't keep trying to send them text messages and emails on the 20th day that you have it scheduled for. It'll stop because it was successful in getting them to respond. And that's when you can start working your magic as a realtor, right? So setting up your lead provider into top producer will open that opportunity for you to set up what we call the automated lead response plan. And top producer and Marvin has actually posted a really useful article in chat if you want to learn more about that. Olakanma, will there be a playback of this training? Yes, definitely. It'll be on our YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/top producer software, we'll have a copy of this webinar on there. All right, and I'll share that link on the screen in a moment here. We're almost done with the settings, so thank you guys. I know we only have a couple of minutes left. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with you. Looks like I got all your attention all the way for the full hour, so appreciate that. The next tab is the market snapshot tab. So these are for you that have market snapshot and bought it with your package. For setup, there's actually nothing for you to set up. Just keep it the way it is. The default settings is good for pretty much like 99% of people. Once you get more familiar with it and you want to try to play around with these settings, then just hit the chat button and we can go through that with you. But for now, just leave it the way it is, at least just to get started with. All the settings in here are good the way they are. The next tab is team management. So this only applies for those of you that bought multiple licenses. So if you have an assistant and you didn't buy a license for them in Top Producer, once you get the hang of using your Top Producer, I'm sure you're going to want to purchase another license for them so you can like assign contacts to them, assign tasks to them, see what they're up to, look at their calendar. All right. And if you have a team of agents, right, you want to be able to assign certain leads to them and so on, right? So this team management page is where you can create the username for them and set up their permissions. So if you have a more competitive team, maybe you don't want them to see each other's contacts, so you can turn that off. You can also turn off the delete or merge permission in case, you have a team that's less tech savvy, or they, sometimes they make mistakes and they delete contacts by accident. You can turn that off for them just to be safe. And then lastly, if you don't want them to take your contacts away from your top producer, you can just turn off the export option as well. So this is only for those of you that purchase multiple top producer licenses. This is where you can manage those users in your account. The next tab is the texting feature. So all you have to do is put in your phone number and it'll send you a text. You just have to reply to it with the word confirm. And what this texting setup will do is allow you to send text messages from top producer. It'll not use your phone number when you send out a text message from top producer. It's not going to show your regular cell phone number. We assign you this texting phone number from top producer. And I know what you're gonna think. They're not gonna recognize the number. They're not gonna respond to it. They're gonna ignore it. There is a solution for that. All you have to do is when you send out your first text message from your top producer, just reintroduce yourself. Just say, hey, this is Dan, your realtor. Just save this in your phone under my name that you already saved in. So the next time I message you, nobody really cares about your phone number. All they care about is that it's gonna show your name, right? When you text them. So all you have to do is just instruct them or remind them that it's you and just say, hey, just save it on my name, no problem. Next time I send you a text message, it'll just show that it's coming from me. The benefit of sending your text messages from your top producer is you don't have to rely on your phone. Let's say, worst case scenario, you lose your phone even just for 5 minutes and you were waiting for a text message from someone. And you lose your phone, or you need to send someone text message right away. Maybe you switch from Android to iPhone or iPhone to Android. You don't want your livelihood to rely on what kind of phone you have, right? With Top Producer, when you send those text messages from your phone, it'll be saved in their contact record, all your texting history with them. So it follows you it follows you wherever you go, whatever type of phone you have, because you're using the text messaging in your top producer. And not only that, you have your text messages on the same screen as all your emails, as all your notes, as all your history with them, right? So in your contact record with that top producer, in your top producer, you got more information to use whenever you're sending them a text message, versus on your phone where you're just using that dedicated text messaging app where you don't see that, oh, they have a listing or blah, 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 right? They have, these are their properties that they're wanting to look at. And then lastly, the UI settings. This is where you can change those colors. I talked about the colors earlier in your contacts. Let's say I'm more of a buyer agent, and I don't like the green color because it just didn't pop out enough for me. So I can click on that edit button for that contact type, and maybe a gold color would be more distinguishable for me when I'm looking at my contacts. So in my UI settings, I can edit the colors of my contact types, because the default one is gray. And if you want to make it more colorful, this is where you want to go in the UI settings to color code all your different contact types. So if you have like a VIP contact type, you want to pop those up a little bit more, right? So you can see here, my buyers are now a little bit more popped out because it's in like this gold color that I really like, right? And then my sports fans are like in this like tennis green lime color, right? So that's where you can put a little bit more color in your top producers in your UI settings. Mark, is there a template text signature? There is no signature for your text messages, Mark, unfortunately. However, you can create text message templates, so you don't have to keep typing in the same message over and over. You can just reuse the same message when you're sending a text to your clients. Violetta, can you send mass text to multiple contacts with text messaging? No, unfortunately not, Violetta, because we are very careful when it comes to text messaging. We don't want it so where people just start spamming their contacts. I know you're not going to do that, but there's other realtors that are more spammy than others, and it could affect everyone's reputation using top producer if you just open up mass texting in the system, right? So just like you guys probably know, right, sometimes emails can get a little saturated nowadays. People ignore emails or not see them. People get too many emails nowadays, right? People sign up for all these newsletters, email newsletters right away. And we don't want the same saturation happening in the text messaging, because the way it is right now, there's not as many text messages being sent back and forth. So that means it's more likely someone's going to open your text message and respond to you, right? So unfortunately, there is no mass texting feature. I'm going to get back to those questions right away. I'm almost done with my presentation here. We're 5 minutes over, so I apologize for the delay here. But the third thing I want to make sure I talk about before you guys got to go is something called follow-up coach. And what it means is basically anytime you're following up with your contacts, sometimes you don't, you forget someone, right? I have 101 contacts in my database. You guys will probably have more, maybe in the thousands sometimes, right? Despite your best efforts, sometimes you will lose track of certain people, right? What the follow-up coach will do is it's got your back, basically. Anytime it sees that you haven't talked to contacts after a certain amount of days, weeks, or months, it's just going to suggest 5 people for you. So it's like a bite-sized portion, so that, hey, there's these 5 people that you haven't talked to in a while. You might want to do something with them, right? Maybe you don't want to, maybe it's not necessarily calling them or emailing them, maybe just reviewing their contact record, because maybe they're not in this particular contact type anymore. For example, Korean folks here, as an example scenario, I've talked to Korean actually in the last couple of days, and she is not a cold lead anymore. She is ready to go. So I actually have an appointment with her in 2 days. So she's definitely not a cold lead. So I got to update her status to active. And I talked to her on the phone. Wants to meet at her condo to potentially upgrade to a townhouse in the same area. Perfect. So I have an appointment with her in 2 days. And I'll set a time. It's a lunch appointment. So we'll go to 2 o'clock. Yeah. It's for 30 minutes. And hit save. Okay. There's something on here. All right, but yeah, so sorry for that, but basically once you follow up with that contact, it'll basically mark them as completed in your follow-up coach. So it just gives you 5 people to talk to every day in case, let's say you're done with all your usual follow-up and you want to see what top producer has suggested to you as far as which contacts to talk to next. So that's what the follow-up coach is. It's more of a long-term benefit whenever you're using the system on a day-to-day basis. All right, so now that you guys have set up your top producer, what's next? Basically, you're going to want to check out our campus website. We've got some quick start videos in there. If you like this webinar, I know we've gone through a lot of content in here, but the next webinar we have is actually in a couple of days on the Thursday. So today is about getting started and setting it up. On Thursday, if you guys want more information on, getting a quick kickstart out of your top producer, on Thursday, we're going to talk about at least 4 things you'll want to know after you set it up. So you can continue that positive momentum and adapting into this new system. So let me go ahead and show you our campus website. You can either access it from your top producer. If you click on your picture on the top right corner and go to support site, it'll take you there. Or if you go to support.topproducer.com, we might be doing some maintenance. But yeah, support.topproducer.com, it'll take you to our website. And that's basically where you can sign up for more webinars. Since we're doing some maintenance right now, it's going to look like this. If you see on the screen here, on the top right corner, there's a webinar schedule. And then it'll show you a calendar and you can sign up for other webinars on our calendar. So check on that in maybe an hour or so once they're done the maintenance. And you should be able to sign up for more. You could also sign up using our live chat. If, let's say it's still not available for you to go to in an hour, you can check in with us through live chat and we can sign you up for more webinars too. Okay, so we also have a blog, and not only will it give you information about how to use your top producer, but our marketing manager, our social media manager, Christine Rogers, she does a really good job of offering some tips and tricks just for real estate in general. So follow-up tips and tricks, managing your database, stuff like that. And if you have top producer, it makes sense to follow that blog as well. And like I said earlier, recording of this webinar is on our YouTube channel. So this is the link. If you guys want to write that down quickly, youtube.com/topproducersoftware. If you want to collaborate with other top producer realtors, top producer users, we have a Facebook user group. So you guys can share ideas. Maybe you guys have a really cool texting template that you want to share with other realtors, right? You know, and increase the standards for everybody. So you can join our Facebook group and see what other people are doing with their top producer. And of course, if you need help, we are here for you. You just hit the chat button or email us and we'll help you out. Sometimes if it gets too complicated, let's say you're troubleshooting a technical issue on chat, we might even make a decision and give you a call. So we might have phone support as well. It depends on what the issue is. We might even give you a call. So our goal here is to make sure we give you 5-star service. We do send out surveys all the time to all our customers. So you know, we're checking those surveys all the time, making sure we're giving you guys 5 stars. All right, so that is the content for today's show. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I'm gonna go through our final questions. So if you have final questions on the chat, go ahead and post them. And I'm gonna catch up on the questions that I missed earlier, or I didn't have time to until now. And one of those questions was about templates. So I'm gonna get back into my top producer here. And anytime you want to create templates, whether it's email templates or texting templates, you just have to go to the tab on the left called Marketing. And then there's a tab at the top that says Template Library. And this is where you can create those templates. So if I want to create a texting template, for example, I can just set it to texting. And we've got some in there for you if you want to use the ones we have. But maybe you want your own, right? So let me just copy paste this here and redo this one again. Okay, so if you want to create your own, you just click on Add from Scratch on the top right corner. Make sure it's got the template type that you want. So if it's an email, make sure it says email. If this is a text message that you're going to reuse over and over, make sure the type says text, and you want to call it something. So this texting template I'm going to create is the one that I want to send out from my top producer for any contacts. This is going to be my first text message to them, to tell them that, hey, this is me. You can trust this text message. Just save it in my name. So the next time I send you a text message from my top producer, it'll just say my name. So you'll respond to it. So I'm just going to call it my first text to any of my contacts in my top producer. I'm just going to put in today's date as well. You want to save it into a category. If none of these apply to the message you're creating, you can just select other. And I'm just going to toss it in there. And I use the merge code in here. So if you want to use a merge code, just click on the button there. And there's all these different merge codes available for you to use. So if I want to put in my contact's name automatically, like their first name, I would select template and hit first name. And it'll plug in this blue code here, this blue merge code. So anytime I send it to any of my contacts, it's going to automatically read that contact's first name and plug it into your text message automatically. So this one, I just said, hey, first name, this is Dan, your realtor. Please save this number under my name on your phone, so you'll know it's me for next time. So I'm happy with that. All I have to do is hit save template. And anytime I want to use that template, so if I go to a contact, and let's say I'm prospecting all my sports fans, right? I've got like these 5 people. I'll open up the first one. I'll text them. I click on the text tab, hit send text. And instead of manually typing it in, I'm just going to hit that template button and I'm going to use that template I just used. So it automatically put in the first name and I hit send. I'm not going to actually hit that send button, but that's how you would use that template you just created. So you're saving yourself having to manually type in the same message over and over. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people I want to send this text message to, right? So once I select that template, it plugs it in, I hit send. Just pretend that it hit send. I can go to the next one, Julie, do the same thing, go to text, hit send, plug it in, right? So you can see how much time it's saving me already. I can save even more time For example, if I go to the next one, I'm by default, it's taking me to my task tab, but maybe I'm doing like a texting campaign right now, right? I don't want to have to keep hitting text all the time. So I can actually set my default tab to text. So I go to text, click on this gear icon, and hit set current tab as default. So anytime I go to the next person, it'll go to the text tab automatically. So even if I was going to another tab like emails or dashboard, anytime it's going to go back to my text tab. So that's just a preview of what we're going to go over in our Thursday show. All these different little features will really add up the more and more you use the system. So anytime you guys have a question on after the next couple of days, I want you guys to start using the system and write down those questions, because we're going to go over any of your questions on the Thursday show. So hopefully that little walkthrough helped about the templates there. All right, just gonna scroll back up here. If you have to go, I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I'm just going over final questions and answers right now, but I'm gonna wrap up for those of you that have to go. Thank you guys so much. I'm your host, Dan Salcedo. With me is Marvin La Rosa in chat. Hopefully we see you on Thursday. Sign up for that webinar. Otherwise, you can watch the recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/topproducersoftware. So thank you for those of you that have to go. And thank you for those people that are staying, hanging in there and letting me answer your questions on chat. All right, let's get back to the chat here. Answer some more questions. Newsletter blast template. Okay, let's see here. So we'll go back to marketing. So anything newsletter, any messages that you want to send over and over, it's always going to be in marketing and then template library. I don't know if you have anything already in there for newsletter. You might have to browse around if there's anything there. My gut tells me that I haven't. Oh, local market update. There we go. So you can use those. So it's not per se like a updated newsletter where we automatically grab data or information from an association or something like that. We don't have anything like that. But if you want to create your own template, basically like an empty shell where you're going to say, hey, hey, John Smith, here is this month's update, right? And then that's your template. And then all you do every month, anytime that email task is due, it will show up in your task list to send out. And all you have to do is open it, edit it, and then copy paste the link from whatever source you get that month's newsletter from and plug it into that email. So that's one way you can use the templates in Top Producer when you're trying to share a newsletter. So we don't have our own newsletter source, but you can create like a shell, like an email container. So you can copy paste that every month from whatever source you're getting it from. You just copy paste the link into that template. But if you want to start from scratch and create your own marketing template library, make sure it says email for the template type and click on add from scratch. And it's just like the text message template that I showed you guys earlier. You give it a name, you put in the subject line or that email, you put in the whatever body of email you want to put in, and you can use that template button for those merge codes. Very similar process when you actually want to use that email. So there's a couple ways you can do it. So you can just, if you're just sending it to a single person, you can just go to their contact, go to their email tab, click compose, and then select that template you created. And it'll copy paste it in there automatically and then hit send. If you want to do more of like a mass email, so what you can do is select your contacts and By default, it's only going to load 25 in your list, even though my list has 101 contacts. It only loaded 25. So when you select all, it'll say 25. If you scroll down, it'll keep loading another 25, another 25, another 25. The limit for mass email in Top Producer X is 100 at a time. But we don't have a max number of emails you can send out in a day in Top Producer X. The max limit you have of sending an email every day will depend on your email provider or your email account that you connected in Top Producer. So it's whatever their limit is. But in Top Producer, we don't give you any limits. You can send as many emails as you want. But for each email blast, it's limited to 100 at a time. So of course, that I know that discussion can get even more complicated. So depending on your situation. So if you have a certain situation and you want to go through that with someone one-on-one, just hit the chat button, and we might even give you a call just to figure out what you're trying to do, so we can give you the best solution possible. But once you have your contact selected for your blast, then once you've selected it, you'll see all these mass options in here, like adding them to a contact type, adding them to the sync. This is the one that you're going to want to use, send group email. Once you click on that, it should give you the list of all your templates. I'm just going to do a couple here. Let me just reload this for a sec here. This is the fun part of live shows, right? Sometimes what you're trying to show is not cooperating with you, so I apologize for that. Usually it just works, right? But I don't know what's going on with my account for whatever reason. This is a test account, so hopefully you're not experiencing the same issues as me in your account. And let me just exit the page, and there, see, it was trying to load it. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is what happens. Once you select those contacts that you want to send a group email to, you can select the email template you created. So for example, this one, and then I just select that and send it. If they have more than one email address, it'll send it to all of them. So if you have a client that has like 2-3 emails, it'll send it to all of them. And that's how you do an email blast. All right. Just looking at the chat here. How much is Market Snapshot? Is it included with Top Producer X? Violetta, I'll have someone give you a call, Violetta, about Market Snapshot. Depending on like what you need, there might be some discounts available for you if you include Market Snapshot. Usually it's an extra like $35 or something though. But I could be totally wrong because we have a bunch of promotions going on. Kristen, can you text directly through TPX on Android? Kristen, we don't have a Top Producer X app yet. It is the next big update we're going to introduce with Top Producer X. So you'll be able to use Top Producer on your Android or your iPhone. So I can't promise that you can text directly through Top Producer on your phone, but that would make sense, right? So we'll find out in the next month or so, hopefully less than that, once we have that ready for you. So we will, if you hit on the Top Producer screen, if you hit the what's new button, we would post it in there once we have the update ready. We'll make a huge announcement about it, so you won't miss it once mobile is ready. So like how it says here, coming soon, mobile support, that's what we're working on next. Joe, it'll sync all your contacts in your email account that you connect with your contact sync settings. All right, I already answered Kevin about top producer and X, top producer ADI and X. There's no cost difference. Yeah, so Francis, this is a good question. Is there a way to give the status close to all my contact types of seller close 2021? Can we mass update? So let's check it out together. So let's just pretend these are all my contact types. These are all my contacts in my contact type called seller close 2021. Can I put it all in closed? Let's see. I can put it all in the contact type. I can add it to a sync. I can send them a group email. I can apply a task plan, or I can mass delete them. So yeah, unfortunately, Francis, in Top Producer X, there isn't a way to mass update them into the closed status, but there might be a way if you I feel like there might be a way, a workaround, Francis. Just hit the chat button and we'll try to figure out if there's a way we can do that with you. Okay. Joe, is the connection to our board an MLS IDX connection? So the connection to your board is just strictly for within the program and the market snapshot. So an IDX is usually like a website your clients can go to, or anyone that goes on that website can go to look for properties, right? That's like it's like a realtor.com or a Zillow where they can, that's actually an IDX website. Those websites that I mentioned, they're called IDX websites because people can search for properties on there. They can do their own searches. With Top Producer and Market Snapshot, you create it for them. And if you have a Top Producer website, you can create your own Market Snapshot landing page where they can sign up for their own Market Snapshot. So if you want more information about Market Snapshot and our Top Producer website, if you don't already have it, just post in the chat and we'll have someone reach out to you and give you a demo, a free demo. Mark, back to UI settings. Can you add more contacts here to color code? So in the UI settings, it just allows you to color code contact types, not individual contacts. So if you want something like that, that would be pretty cool. All right, you got a like a really high value client, and you want to make sure they're like in red or something when anytime it pops up in your screen. That would be cool, right? So if you want to give our product team a quick note, just hit feedback on the bottom left corner. We actually invested in a separate dashboard just to manage and collect everyone's user feedback in our system. And that's how we kind of make decisions on which updates to put into next. The more people putting a thumbs up on a specific suggestion, the more attention it's going to get from our product team. It's not necessarily going to guarantee that it's going to come, but at least our product team are getting that feedback directly from you guys while you're using the system. And you can even see what's coming. If you go on the left side, you can see what we have planned and we have building in the system. So again, if that was too quick, you just hit the feedback button in the bottom left corner and you can make those suggestions to color code individual contacts. That would be cool. Okay. Yeah, so emailing letters in Top Producer library. Yeah, so in Top Producer X, it's not like a printed letter. It's just an email. So we just you can create emails and text message templates. Jessica, we don't have an MLS in Manhattan to use that template. I wanted to create my own. Yeah, so if you want to create your own, no problem. Just hit the add from scratch button on the top right corner. You can put in whatever you like. Can we add photos and links to listings? So when it comes to your listings, it's more to just manage like the task for your listings and closings. So You can, when you're in your transactions page, you can import all that information automatically from your MLS. So you would just need like the MLS ID or even the address. I usually like using the listing ID just because it's faster that way. And especially if you already have it on hand with you, in most cases you do. Just plug in that MLS number, hit search, it'll automatically put in their picture, and plug in all this information like the bedrooms and bathrooms, the status, and so on. Just like you guys see on my screen here. It doesn't allow you to put in your own picture in there, but that's because we don't use it for any marketing templates in Top Producer. So it's just for you to manage, or at least to visually see, okay, that picture is for this property I'm trying to sell or trying to help buy. Links, yes. So if you have like a listing agreement or contract or offer sheets, blah blah blah, you don't store it inside Top Producer. You would store it in like your online storage, for example, Dropbox or Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. Once you have it uploaded on the cloud, all these cloud storage providers, they usually allow you to create what they call a shareable link. So you just get that link and add that link into your Top Producer. So anytime you need to open up that document, you just click on that link and it'll take you to whatever it is. So this is giving me an error because this is just an example, but it took me to my link I put in for my Dropbox account. So hopefully that helps, Jessica. Kevin, why only 100 at a time? Yeah, so with Top Producer X, it's a bit of a different approach when it comes to marketing. We want to make it more of a efficient approach. Basically, quality over quantity. You can still send out 1,000 emails to your clients if you want, and you can keep using that in your Top Producer AI. We're not stopping you there. And you can keep doing that. If that works for you, keep doing it, right? But with Top Producer X, it's more of a more focused type of group email. So that's why we only give it 100 at a time. Who knows? That might change, and we might open it up to 1,000 emails every time too, just like Top Producer AI. But for now, the way it's designed is to kind of try to keep it focused when you're sending out those emails. It's not meant for mass emailing. Like a large group, like if you're trying to send out like a public announcement or something like that, you can use your Top Producer AI if you want to do that. Or if you're trying to send it to more than 1,000 people, you can even export it to like a MailChimp account that you can sign up for and send it through there. Mark, when you send something in X, will it place a note in your contact that you completed the task? Yep. So if you're in your contact and you sent them a text or sent them an email, for example, it'll all be in their task tab, and you can see and you can toggle the complete and incomplete, and you'll see everything that you've done for them. So for this particular contact, I've already made 2 calls for them, so I can see those. So just pretend those are the emails that I sent out or that text message I sent out. It'll show up in that task tab. We just hide them just because you've already completed them. So usually you just want to see what you need to do next, right? So, but you can see them. Completed, recorded, but not in notes. So like if you complete like an email, like why would you need it in your notes? Like notes is like, things about them. Oh, you keep everything under notes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when it comes to task, things that you like actions that you do, it'll be the way we've designed it is it's going to be in your task list. When it comes to notes, those are like things about them, and that's, yeah, you keep okay, yeah, no, I get it, Mark. Yeah, unfortunately it's not designed that way. So when you complete a task, it'll be in the task list. You're welcome to add in a note about it too if you want. Let me try something here. So let's say follow-up notes. Let me just add a note to it, right? So make sure you talk to them about their dog, right? Dog. So I have a follow-up appointment with Corrine here. And let's say I mark it done. Let's see what happens if this note is going to show up in my notes. Okay. Actually, before I mark it done, let's go to notes, see what happens. So the notes that you put into your task are also in your notes. So although it doesn't track that you completed that activity in your notes, any notes that you put in for that task will also show up in your notes. So hopefully that works for you, right? So I mark it done. I think it was a successful meeting. They lit up when I asked them about their dog, Sumo. I have another appointment with them on Friday. So I just completed that task. I have another task for them. Let's see if those notes are in the notes. There you go. So any notes that you put into task are also in your notes. So I hope that is what you were looking for. Awesome. Thanks, Mark. All right. So Kevin, would you be able to tell me if South Jersey Regional is one of the MLS you can log into? The previous Top Pro did not allow that at one point. So if you hang on like a minute, Kevin, we'll check that. I'll Marvin hopefully can get that information for you. If you just hang out with us just for a moment, we'll check into that for you. Anyone else have any final questions? I've still got 9 people here, so I appreciate that. While we're waiting for that, let's see if my campus website is working now. Oh yes, perfect. So it didn't take that long to maintain. If you guys want to sign up for another webinar, do it now while you're waiting for the answer. Go to support.topproducer.com, go to webinar schedule. And today is the 13th. Tomorrow is actually another good one. And we actually have a contest for that one. If you want to sign up for tomorrow's webinar, it's hosted by Glenn Doyle. And I think we're giving out a gift card or something if you share your own holiday gift idea for your client. So sign up for tomorrow if you have time, for about the same time at 10 o'clock Pacific. But for your top producer, after you set it up and you started getting the feel of it and you want to learn more about it, the next time you'll see me is on Thursday. I'm going to be hosting that one at 10 o'clock. And for those of you coming from 8i and you want to set up your X from 8i, you can just go to our Friday show as well. It's going to be probably about the same stuff that we talked about today, except for a couple of things that are specific to our 8i users. You're very welcome, Mark. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone. So just hanging on, Kevin, just checking on South Jersey for you, okay? All right, so let's see what else we got here. Oh, there we go. Marvin coming in with the save. Yes, it's available in Top Producer X. There you go, Mark. There you go, Kevin. Appreciate that, Marvin. And with that happy note, I'm going to go ahead and call it. You're very welcome. I'm going to call it. Thank you guys so much for your time. Hopefully we see you guys in another webinar. I'm your host, Dan Salcedo. On chat is Marvin LaRosa. Hope you guys, if I don't see you guys again for this year, hope you guys have a happy holidays. We'll see you again next time. Have a great day. Thank you.